Only on a good day. Only on a good day.
Oh my god!
Into combat once again, friends. Into combat.
It's been
a bit of quiet week, hasn't it? It's been a quiet week. Not much going on. Not much to catch up on at all.
You haven't been in my neighborhood then.
Oh Jesus! Not more. Is it not more stabbings of the Chris?
Well, I still have people pooping in my back alley. I would like it if that would stop.
Ooh.
Jesus Christ!
Oh my gosh, we're on another cold open. Okay.
Hi everyone.
we have the signs in the various streets. A short drive away from me, the little sort of sandwich board things saying, reminding the pedestrians, obviously British people, obviously who may decide they want to leave a stall on the pavement for no reason. I mean, what they should.
Okay, that hasn't reached us yet, and I just think it's so weird.
It's not reached us yet.
A normal thing in so many places.
Because the world has gone to hell. I hate current year.
I mean, like, really, what, like, post-apocalyptic hellscape does this not look like? Right? It's way worse than Escape from New York.
Well, the house, there was an eviction, a couple doors down for me. That was amusing to watch. And then the crackhead that lived there spray painted a massive dick on the front. So that's nice for neighborhood aesthetics.
One thing
I think there should probably be more like Snake Plissken memes going around now.
No, even he doesn't want anything to do with Canada. Actually, yes, I live in Escape from New York.
It sounds
One thing I didn't realize until I went into the toilets in the staff area at the O2 Arena, the old Millennium Dome, is that they've got big signs saying, "Please do not stand on the actual bogs, on the toilets, and do your business, because certain cultures do not like to sit down on the toilet seat."
I tell you, multiculturalism, not all it cracks up to be. Let me tell you. It was funny, you said Snake Plissken just now. We had a rabbi in rabbinical ceremony called Zelig Plissken, who was this really sweet guy with a giant red beard. It's a grey beard now. But he's actually he's a best-selling author for self-help books. But he used to sit next to me in the back of the study hall in our little spot. But it's fun. And we always called him Snake, and he can never work out why. I get it's from the movie. It's from a movie, okay? But he couldn't really understand. You should look him up. I mean, again, he's a very comical, very rabbinical figure. And he actually has lots of quite good self-help books out there. So there you go. Zelig Plissken, everybody. I don't get commission.
And Archer Cullen, New York did that to itself. So
yes,
we will just sit back and laugh. Although
even Escape from New York, New York is trying to escape from New York now.
Oh, well, they already are. I mean, they've already lost apparently like 10 billion in the companies that were already getting out of there.
Breakers of like January 1st or something crazy like that.
It's not going to end well.
The Joker's taken over, and it was like,
that's not going to end well.
It's like,
Some people just want to watch the world burn. That's what that's the line, wasn't it, from the Dark Knight? Right. I think we're very much there. We're very much there now. Various institutions crumbling down around our ears, or some of them sitting on their own detonator. In the case of this one, I was thinking of BBC.
Couldn't have the more nicer multicultural fascist organization.
Well, yeah, that would be perfectly at home in Canada.
The BBC,
two high-profile resignations. They don't come any bigger than the Director General, Gary. This is the big cheese, and the Chief Executive Officer of the News, Deborah Turnus. This was enormous, and ever since these two big resignations, I think it was on Sunday, wasn't it? They've spent the rest of the week. They've spent the rest of the week trying to make out that it's not a big deal, but it was clearly a big enough deal. These two to both hand in their cards, Gary.
Well, the timing is just completely coincidental. Nothing to do with, with Trump about to sue him into oblivion. I actually think maybe this time next year, the BBC is going to be called Trump TV.
Because if that happens, can I beg the Donald as a loyal follower for many years, even when it'll keep don't have Doctor Who, okay? All I want is Doctor Who, right? You have everything else, and I'll make you money, Donald.
But you know what's so funny, Dan, and I know that you did a great job of talking about it on the chill stream, but that, you know, the BBC's immediate thing is, you know, their immediate go-to is no. This was just an accident. It wasn't defamation. And then that switches to, well, it was just once. And then the Telegraph comes out sending people that back in 2022, there was another case just like this. But so that narrative goes out the window. And then a couple of days ago, there is their BBC breaking news tweet trying to tie him to you know, Jeffrey E, alleging that he spent hours with the victim, but all it takes is a couple of clicks within that actual tweet, you know, the links, show that the victim in question has said that Trump never had anything to do with it.
Right. Okay. So may I say the Epstein thing? I can wrap up very, very quickly because it's it was a defamation trap made by the Democrats because they redacted the name of the person involved, and then the Republicans unredacted the name, and it made their initial assertion that Trump was canoodling with the Epstein girls a nonsense. Moreover, it just proves that Jeffrey Epstein hated Donald Trump, which sounds good to me, right? But that was it in a nutshell. In a week of embarrassing stuff going down for anybody other than Donald Trump.
That apology, Dan, is not going to help.
No, and the thing is, to come back on what the rabbis just said, he was emailing Michael Wolff, of course, who absolutely adores Donald Trump, and in his book, that it's been largely attributed. There are some amounts of inaccuracies, and his accounts have been called into question. And with the BBC thing and the Telegraph thing, the Telegraph have done a fantastic about 15-minute podcast about the graphic designer who'd worked on Newsnight for a number of time as a freelancer. He attended editorial meetings. He's now left due to ill health. And the Trump thing that the Newsnight broadcast, which is similar to what Panorama broadcast, was called out by a Republican at the time live, who's not a big Donald Trump fan. So in the debrief of the show the next day, the producers and the editor of the program were there, along with the graphic designer, who was just there because he had to attend the meetings. And the producers said, we've got a bit of a problem with this because it's not accurate. And the editor just went, it's all right, move on. So should Trump decide to, or his team decide to request a Freedom of Information Act of all the which would then force the BBC to disclose all the emails, all the sort of editorial conversations they have, everything that they've got to do with Donald Trump, that could show if there is negativity towards him, that could sort of prove that there is a sort of, they're trying to portray him in a certain light.
There's an institutional bias narrative. Right?
Yes.
So from what Dan read, I came out of Sabbath, Dan. I was listening to your chill stream where you went over the BBC's defense. It seemed to me that their entire defense relies on proving they do not have an institutional dislike for Donald Trump and an institutional bias, right? And the edit was done purely the impression that changing the impression of what the quote was done purely accidentally in an innocent edit. That is their defense in court.
Yep.
That is not an innocent edit.
It seems to me, it seemed to me through reading it that their big defense is going to be proving that it doesn't count as defamation.
What?
Well, it's a lie. They've transmitted a lie.
You have to prove it is defamation, and they can do that easily.
Yeah, if the
I would have
lawyers
thought so as well. I'm not Perry Mason, not by a long chalk. But to me, it seemed very clear that he's been defamed. But if you read those points that they keep going back to, it's all them trying to suggest that this doesn't count as defamation.
I know, but no, like again, they got to prove they didn't intend to defame him. Like, okay, why is your institutional bias reflected in your editorial, your editorial stance? Not malicious defamation, given that it's not been true, and you have to make it up. Yeah. Right? Oh, whoops! An innocent edit with covered over by music.
They didn't even BBC verify on the job. How serious could it possibly be?
Well, exactly.
If they can establish a pattern over years, then it's going to be really, really hard for the BBC to defend what they've done as not malicious.
Establish a pattern, Gary. There's a pattern. Believe me. If you want to look for patterns within the BBC, they can give you patterns. They've got a lot of patterns.
The best thing is the Trump lawyers have to prove the BBC is an institution with institutional biases, right? That means they expose all their institutional biases, to the entire world after trawling through the emails, which half of them have the headline "Fuck Trump, fuck Trump, fuck."
Yep.
Right.
Well, Rabbi, Rabbi, like I suggested in a comment on the chill stream, Trump should promise not to sue as long as the BBC devotes half of their budget to finding the missing episodes.
Okay, no, it's even better than that, right? It's better than that. It's the BBC they can't not defend themselves because their entire brand is based on them being this impartial brand. Yeah. Right, and if they have to give up on that, right? If they have the court ruling against it, if they're proved in the court of law, which they are, very institutionally biased, right? That means their life's over forever. Its tool as an institutional weapon of propaganda is greatly diminished at that point.
And to come back on one of the defences that the BBC have, saying, "Oh, it was landlocked to the UK and everything like that."
Bullshit.
Well, under Florida law. It was available online. Under Florida law, all it needed was somebody with a VPN, one person in Florida to log on.
That's exactly what I said.
One person with that one.
And to have viewed it. And the key point of law on this is to have taken offence at what has been transmitted. Now, if Trump can find that one person in Florida, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of volunteers to come forward, seen as it is a big Republican state, to say, "Oh yeah, actually, Donald, Mr. President, I actually saw that, and I was absolutely outraged at that under Florida law there." But this morning on, I tend to try and avoid BBC News if I can. Unfortunately, I get it around the sport I listen to. Even Bauer Media that run a load of commercial radio stations were running articles on their main news about how it's going to be really difficult for him to sue the BBC and how it's all this. The Guardian are reporting that, and it seems that a certain amount of mainstream media in the UK and probably abroad also are starting to club together and sort of group together. Whereas the Telegraph,
they could be wondering as well. It's highly likely that within these other companies, other broadcasters, other media empires, we know there's a bias there too. So they think, well, what have we broadcast? What's on our website? Yep. What have we got streaming? Should we go through it all? So they're trying to batten down the hatches, really, on every level. Yeah. And unity with the BBC, obviously, because they're the biggest in Britain, would be the wisest first step, whilst I would imagine they'll be doing their own housekeeping over the next few days and weeks and months.
In all of these companies this weekend, there's a lot of shredding and deleting of tapes going on all over the UK right now. But Dan, I wanted to ask you really quick. So when Trump sues and wins, notice I say when, seriously though, what will then be the effect on the BBC as a corporation if he wins like a massive lawsuit?
Bankruptcy.
It will affect them. Yeah, it definitely, as David said, it could bankrupt them. It could be a colossal effect.
Wow. Say it again, Dad. Say it again.
You know when you watch Star Trek and all the shields have been taken down and they're depleted, they're on like 5%. The BBC would barely be able to keep the photocopiers running, or they'd barely be able to keep themselves in copies of The Guardian in the average week.
So basically, Trump is like Khan during that first attack on the Enterprise. The shields are down. He just comes in and like blasts them all. Yeah, okay.
Well, also
there would be a
manned by children. Oh no, go ahead, David.
It was a cheap gag. There'd be a newscaster breach. That's all I was going to say. But...
I was just going to say, and in the Wrath of Khan, rather than competent adults, it's run by children.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what the Enterprise was there. Apart from that one good guy, the engineer, he stayed at his post, Captain, while the other trainees ran. He's like a crisp.
There's always somebody
the
in
trainees
denial.
knew what they were doing. One of the trainers must have been from, was it the Picard season 3, who ended up in charge of the ship? Was it the grease monkey guy? The captain who didn't like Picard and Riker at first.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Who he ended up liking. I bet that was
Obviously,
what the trainees that ran.
The BBC versus Trump thing, that's huge news in Britain for obvious reasons. And they're trying to get the British public behind them as well. At the same time, they've just increased the license fee to £180 a year, and they're already speaking about a potential rise to £250
Why would you pay that?
per year.
I'm sorry, I'm an idiot.
I'll tell you, when Trump's done, I'm going to 500.
I say it couldn't happen to a nicer company. Everything that I used to watch up until about 2016 was British and BBC stuff. I used to watch Panorama religiously back when it covered real issues, and I had to stop watching it around 2016 because for various reasons there was an entire flip, and rather than covering serious issues, its entire mandate seemed to be white people are evil. And that was pretty much it. And I think one of the last ones that I watched when I said I can't, no, I'm done, was right after the Orange Man was first elected. Oh, they were not happy. It was the most biased piece of shit I have ever seen. And this is well deserved. You people suck. So I guess that thing that shall not be mentioned, that formerly starring Dr. Nutty, will not be coming back now. Oh no, how heartbreaking! I'm just you can just see the disappointment in my voice.
Obviously, the BBC, they have offered him, they have delivered on the apology, which is half of the balance of which he was asking for.
I disagree with you there, Dan. The apology they delivered, say they accidentally cut something.
That was not accidentally. Anybody who's watched that's the distinction. That's the distinction I'm trying to make. It was hardly an earnest, heartfelt, sincere apology or taking accountability for the editorial policy of the people who were on the payroll.
And they said hearty apology, not hardly apology. That makes a big difference.
It might go further than this, because the BBC wasn't the only not very nice institution. I'll try and be polite. No, jackasses. I'm just going to call them jackasses. They weren't the only news corporation to edit that clip. ABC in Australia did the exact same thing. So I'd like to see him go after them too. Yeah, it was. What's the one non-woke? Oh, Sky News. Yeah, Sky News is weird. The British version is like woke of the BBC, and the Australian one is like based as hell. But it was the Australian Sky News.
That the British one was sold off to Comcast, CSNBC, who are currently trying to buy ITV, whereas Sky Australia is still owned by people who are based.
Aren't idiots. But
Yeah,
no, they
that's
did the same thing. I think if this, it would be like similar to when Elon Musk took over Twitter and it became X. I could see this happening with the BBC, and it would be awesome. And I want to see a lot of day in the life videos of these elitist.
Yes.
Somebody give me an insult word, because I'll say something mean that will get Dan in trouble.
Wankers.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that. Elitist wankers, these little shits that I got to deal with for years, and they were just so pleasant. I want to see day of the life videos as you get shipped off your little job, and now you have to go join the real world, and you realize you're screwed. That's if there's one thing that somebody just edit these together, make us some happy music videos, because that's some of the most entertaining shit you will ever see. Goodbye.
No, Chris, you know what I want? Chris, you know what I want to see? I want to sit in on one of these meetings between the BBC legal team and the execs this week, as more and more it's like, okay, I think that apology might have helped, and then somebody comes in and says, they're talking about this other thing, as the lawyers go,
yeah.
It went up to $5 billion.
The thing I like most, the thing I find so much value in doing this show, is because practically all of us are all over the world. So obviously this is massive news. This is massive news in Britain, Chris, because the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, certainly the arm of it that makes the news, that makes Panorama, that is completely funded by the license fee. So it's all anybody's talking about in Britain. You've got people who had no strong feeling one way or the other about Donald Trump, have an opinion about this. You've got people who disliked him, even like my next door neighbor talking to me earlier on. She said, I really don't like that man at all, but this is so wrong. And she feels betrayed by the BBC. This is a woman in her late 60s. But how is it playing in the rest of the world? Is it as big news overseas as it is here? Because obviously it's not your money that the BBC have been using to cause these problems, to defame the president in the first place. So how is this playing in America, Gary?
Well, here's the thing. A lot of the conservative websites that I look at, like Town Hall, Red State, they're covering it as Trump going up against yet another behemoth who has done him and the concept of good journalism wrong. And I think we're now that we've come out of the woke era, the progressive era, whatever you want to call it, I actually think what we're in now is we're in the era of consequences. Everything that's been built up over the last few years, and everybody who's been doing all this stuff the last few years, now it's not really payback, because then that makes it sound petty, like Trump is just striking back. No, he's fighting actually on principled pushback against the way that these institutions, which should have operated with integrity and honor and their original remit to report the news fairly and accurately to the public that's paying for it, broke that faith, and they're having to pay for it now. And so that's the tone of a lot of these stories. It's like, it's not covering over what the BBC did, but they're just saying, no, Trump is pushing back on these institutions that have just become really corrupt.
Yeah, they're consequences of a string of actions. There was an inevitability to this, I think. Sooner or later, something was going to happen. Something was going to seep its way through, because the internet is such a huge place, Rabbi, and these clips get clipped and remixed, and they have this extended life, don't they? Far beyond an initial broadcast on the BBC.
Watching how aghast they are at being called on their consequences, like they've never been called on it before. Like, what do you mean we're lying? We mean you're lying. But no, they're lying. No, we know you're lying. Like it's like they've never been called. It's the weirdest thing. It's like, and all the defenders, the BBC doesn't have bias. Really? What parallel universe are you from? Right? Like,
is it news in Israel, Rabbi?
What? Oh, I don't know. Look, we all define our own news window, right? So I have lots of like English and American news, a splattering of Israeli, but I don't know. Here, I will look at the front page.
I always find it mind-boggling when corporations like this try to minimize their lie by saying, well, they were lying too. It's like, how does that even minimize what you did?
But the thing is, we've been here before with the BBC. We had, unfortunately, for I don't know if Chris and Gary and the rabbi are aware of Dr. David Kelly's sad death in 2003, who was a lovely, timid MOD worker. He, it is believed, was the source of Andrew Gilligan's, a BBC reporter's dodgy dossier for the Iraq War. And so Andrew Gilligan broke some news on Today that a source had told him that it was a load of what the government had, that essentially the government had been lying about a load of all this stuff, and it was a dodgy dossier and everything like that. Dr. David Kelly was then called to give evidence to a parliamentary committee, and we have a quiet scientist, dedicated scientist, who was a former weapons inspector and a very shy, genteel man, who was then just thrown out, but and just appeared to be made to look a scapegoat. And he then later, a couple of days later, then took his own life. And there was a public inquiry, judge led, and essentially it came out that the BBC had made some grave errors, and it led to the resignation, essentially, of Greg Dyke, who was then the Director General. Oh, yeah. But the BBC were told by the judge that they had to adopt a new level of verification and making sure that they did the right thing in broadcasting information and everything like that. And it appears like we've gone back to square one again. That, you know, who is meant to, we then had the Russell Brand issue with stuff not being dealt with via compliance. And not being edited out. That was the Andrew Sachs issue on Radio 2 with Jonathan Ross, which then caused Leslie Douglas, the head of Radio 2, to resign. So it seems that there is a repeated issue along the BBC editorial lines, that somebody is not checking what's going on before they press play. And when you've got an exceptionally litigious person such as Donald Trump, and like Dan's neighbor, I am not particularly fond of him for some issues. When you've got somebody like that, you cannot, well, you can't about anybody, you cannot put out something that is inciting violence when the person did not incite violence, no matter what your personal belief may be. You can believe that he may have been inciting violence, but that's a belief.
Yeah, but they believe it very strongly.
You don't transmit it as fact about what he said.
I think they believe it's fact. Right? I really do. I think they believe it's fact. And I think I think that's why they're willing to go to a court of law. Right? Hopefully somebody at some point will go, whoa, this will get crazy. There's no good, exit ramp for the BBC. But I don't know there's anybody with that much common sense around. Right? I think they might get stopped by the BBC, by Donald Trump, like totally. I'm praying.
Dan, what your conversation with your neighbor actually, I think, gives me a lot of hope, because at some point people need to realize, don't focus on what's being brought to light. Don't focus on the person who's bringing it to light, because that's almost irrelevant. It's about what's being revealed. As your neighbor said, she goes, well, I don't like Trump, but this is terrible stuff that's being revealed. That's what people need to focus on.
Yeah. She wasn't furious and ranting around, but she was shaking her head and tutting, hands on her hips. You know, this, as I say, this woman, she's like mid to late 60s. You know, she's been happy to pay her license all her life, but not anymore. It was, very telling. Obviously, it's very much I think the ball is in Trump's court. He said that he may sue them sometime next week. I think he said, in a sort of roundabout way. Do you think he's going to sue them? Basically, Chris, do you think that's where it's going to go?
I would hope so. I know from a Canadian perspective, outside of Rebel News, our mainstream media has just covered this as an afterthought because we might be the most officially anti-Trump country on the planet, even though that doesn't reflect our common sense people. But we have our own version of the BBC, which is the CBC, which is probably even worse. Because our laws in Canada are pretty draconian, and there are groups that are actually protected that I'm not even allowed to mention by name without being charged with a hate crime. But yeah, the CBC's entire mandate is now basically protecting this group that I can't even mention. It's an issue. Like, obviously, it's not our. We have our own cyborg prime minister, so it's not our leader being attacked directly. I think it's Canada is in a very odd place right now, where this wasn't headline news because our country is pretty much collapsing, and everybody can see it. We are literally collapsing in real time.
It's the same.
So it's something that we knew about, but Canadians are now concerned about literally starving to death. Just give you an example.
What?
I yesterday I had to go and I'm like, I'm out of coffee. Okay, so I went to get my my tin of coffee. Well, it cost me $10 a year ago. It just cost me $30.
Jesus.
What?
It's if you want to get a pack of skinless chicken, you're looking at even 4 of them, you're looking at $30. Literally nobody can afford food. Nobody can afford gas. The price of everything has gone through the roof. We have no version of Fox News or Sky News Australia. So it's the mainstream media here is covering it as, everything's fine. Canada's doing great. No, Calgary, which is our wealthiest city, 1/3 of residents of Calgary are now living in food poverty. The food bank in Toronto, I think in 2019, I can't remember the exact stat, but they had something like 3 million visits. I think they had something like 38 million already this year. So it's something that we're watching. But when it comes to world events, people in my country, we are watching our country collapse in real time, and it's happening very quickly. I would say it's here. It's not frontline news. People are talking about how they can't afford problems.
There's problems closer to home. I think it's the same even domestically up to a point. People are far more concerned with the pressing danger on every street corner. We have fresh attacks, sometimes in the middle of the day, usually on young girls. Practically every other day in Britain now. It's the temperature is really starting to rise, and fear. There's a real sense of dread and fear in the atmosphere, the like of which I've certainly never experienced before. So if that's happening the world over, or certainly throughout the Western world, then I would imagine that bodies like the BBC probably do realise that, generally speaking, on a day-to-day level, working class people, normal everyday families have got other things to think about. But the British people won't let this one pass.
Well, I think what it is, Dan, is world events when things, because when we look at politics, when we look at things on the world scale, like basically macro issues, us personally, there's nothing that, unless you're like rich and powerful, there's nothing that you can really do about it. Like most of these things will happen whether the 5 of us are on this planet or not. But I think, and Canada is an example, we are like outside in the Western world. There's no country that is worse off than us right now, and I think that's why here, like, we used to, the conversation around here for the longest time was like the woke agenda and stupid things going on, but literally it's actually scary to watch, where like the talk of these macro issues, you stop caring when you can't afford food. And Canada is like, we're not in a recession anymore. We're in a depression. Yeah. The basic definition of a depression is when you have food and housing insecurity. Just to give you an example, 10 years ago, probably the average rent for a say 2-bedroom apartment would be like $900 a month, perfectly reasonable. Now you won't find a 2-bedroom apartment in most Canadian cities for under $3,000 a month.
Jesus.
I'm pretty close. I'm pretty good at budgeting, and I've essentially been buying roughly the same grocery order every week for as long as I've been sort of single again, which is 11 years ago now. Wow. What used to cost me $35, at the most $50 for my weekly groceries, that would get me through. And this is like 3 meals, lunch, dinner, stuff like that. Like I'm very boring when it comes to this, but say 2014, 2015, it would have been $35 almost. And I've gone back and I looked at my bank statements, just to verify this, and other people have done this as well, people who buy the same things roughly every week. So 10 years ago at Walmart, which is our cheap option, what cost me $35 to $50 now costs between $150 and $200. Often it's well over $200, and this is Walmart. This is our cheapest alternative. If you're shopping from National Grocers, which has a monopoly in Canada, you're looking closer to $300. Like it's like you're paying $1 a banana, like $5 for a loaf of bread. It's
almost Russian prices back in the days of the Soviet Union.
That's insane. Yeah, and I think if you talk to anybody, and I think you can probably even hear the exhaustion in my voice right now.
Yeah.
It's you stop thinking about things when like it's. I've been watching it over 5 years, but it's why I don't think it doesn't have anything to do with Trump or taking the side of the BBC. People in this country really are not looking at macro issues right now because we are living in absolute hell. Like we have, every city has turned into a crime-infested hellhole. There are people in my neighborhood, young women, actually even older people, because this used to be a very heavy Italian neighborhood. Say 60 or 70 years ago, a lot of those elderly people are here. They will not leave their houses. They won't take their dogs for a walk. They are actually scared to step out. I look right now at my cameras. I see drug seekers walking in front of my house right now as we speak to buy drugs 2 doors down. We have no, basically, you want to talk about 2-tiered policing. This is what policing has turned into in Canada. If you offend certain groups and if you're of a certain demographic, they will throw the book at you and destroy your life. If you are a criminal doing actual damage, they don't care. And there was but one thing that's in the news in my country right now, and I'll shut up and let you kind of go back to what you're talking about. But this is sort of the mindset why this is not paying much attention to this.
This lines up. This lines up a lot with the British experience. Well, Dan, I think you could be more advanced than we are. Now you've explained it.
Well, there was one story this week It happened in Vaughan. It's basically a city just north of Toronto. It's actually one of Toronto's wealthier suburbs. There was a story, and this did make national news because this is what we're seeing, but this one was completely disgusting. So, two what I will call newcomers, one of them who has been captured and released 4 times in the past year, once also apparently involving a murder case, invaded a family's home and killed a father in front of his 4 children. Let me repeat, newcomers, you know what that means. That's what they call them here. Yeah. One of which has been arrested and released 4 times this year. And we see this all over the place, but something about this story just hit people. And then they showed the pictures of the actual.
Yeah, that. I think I heard about this. Yeah, I think I heard about this. Yeah.
But this is why we're like, literally, like I said, there's a group I can't even mention by name because I will have the book thrown at me. But we have what's called catch and release, and right now it's ridiculous. There's one woman in my neighborhood that I've watched be arrested about 6 times in the past year. Literally, as I'm walking by with my dog, the cops are arresting her. And then basically just she's back 2 days later. There was one incident earlier this year where 3 doors down from me, there was an armed standoff. And so the police show up. So me and a bunch of my neighbors, many of them are leaving now, but those of us that have had it, we're watching this and we're like, okay, good. They're finally going to arrest this problem house or do something about it. So then we're watching, then all of a sudden the cops are laughing with the perpetrators. Because again, this is a protected class that I cannot mention by name. So then as they're driving away, like me and a couple of my other neighbors, we're literally screaming at them. Like, what the fuck? Like, are you just not doing your job at all right now? I'm like, I say the wrong thing. I get thrown in jail. You just had a fucking armed standoff and you're letting them go. And then we were complaining. I'm like, I was pointing out problems on the street. I'm like, somebody is going to die. You're not doing your jobs. But I said that this was on Monday. I said, somebody is going to die. What happens on Friday? I'm out. I'm doing my daily thing. My neighbor texts me. There has been a double homicide. The cops are right outside your house. This was this was a different property, but one that I had pointed out to the police that Monday. Drug-related shooting in the middle of the day. And also this is the scary part. Because normally when I'm at home during the day, I have a set routine. I do the same things at the exact same time. The shooting occurred at 11:58 a.m. Usually I take Sky, my lab. We usually go when I'm home. I take a break at 11:45 and I walk by there. And I know exactly, because I have to do this by a specific time. So I know exactly when I'm going to be walking by there. I know exactly when I come back. 11:58 is roughly the exact same time that me and my dog would have been walking in front of this house while a mass murder had been happening. It was the only day that month that I wasn't home because I happened to be away. So I'm like, okay, I'm getting back now. So I get back to my neighborhood. The police squadrons everywhere. Basically, like half the police department, the streets cordoned off. There's police tape all over the house. They were at one point, they weren't even going to let us in. I'm like, no, my dog's in my house. You're letting me get to my fucking house. Also, I have a security camera, so you're not going to do anything about it. But here, I've got a footage. I actually have the video of the murder car driving in front of my house to go commit the murder. I think I sent you guys the picture of it when it happened. You did. And then I get out. I see one of the police officers that I had been yelling at on Monday. So you know how when I make my videos under that name that I have, when I'm like yelling, Take away the humor and anything related to that. That's sort of the nature of the conversation I had with this person. I'm actually lucky I didn't get arrested myself. They probably wanted to, because you're not allowed to speak up for these things, even though your neighborhood has turned into a literal shooting gallery. So I give him, I get all my security footage. I've got the front and the back. I've got the people going in. So we do all that. And then we're watching the main drug dealer was shot, but he was not killed. But somebody else was, his girlfriend. And this is like an industrial strength fentanyl operation. So wow. I'm watching this. I think I sent you guys the pictures of the, or at least I think Dan probably saw it because I threw it in your chat.
Yeah, you definitely sent it to me.
I sent so I have a forensic truck parked in front of my house, and this was like the full get up. They've got like their spacesuits on. They're going in. So those of us were just standing outside and we're watching them take out bags of drugs, every drug, like fentanyl, meth, coke, crack, marijuana, although that doesn't really matter in Canada, but every major drug you can think of. We were watching them take out bags of this stuff. So this is on the Friday. At this point, the main drug dealer is in the hospital because he got shot in the leg. So we're like, okay, maybe we'll finally get this drug house shut down. Thank God. No. So fast forward a week, he's out of the hospital. Keep in mind, we know they have the evidence. I have security camera footage of them taking the evidence into their trucks. The next Friday, he's out. The drug usage, or the drug customers, pretty much double at that point, because at this point they realized, okay, they've taken all my drugs away. We think they actually got their drugs back, because how were you fully restocked a week later? Where did this come from? So it's gotten worse since then. We could get, and I said to the cops, I'm like, during one of the many visits, I'm like, okay, what happened to all those drugs that I actually have on video of you guys taking out of this house? We can't discuss that. Yeah, that's right. This is, again, a protected group in Canada. So wow. I'm going to shut up now. So basically this is really side drive from what we were talking about. But I guess the question was, Dan, is this big news in Canada? I will say no world news outside of what's happening on our streets is big news to anybody right now, because we are watching in real time our country collapse. We can't afford it. Well, it's not bad for me. Like, I live by myself. It's just me and my dog. But I know people that have families, have 5 kids. A friend of mine, both her and her husband were laid off permanently from their jobs last week. That's happening all over the place. You cannot get jobs. They will not hire Canadians for jobs because they are subsidizing the wages of, quote, newcomers. So if you're a Canadian and you lose your job, and we do not have the same benefits program that you guys have in the UK, we have next to nothing. It's not even poverty level. Now you can't even get food with it. But if you're a Canadian, you lose your job, and they're happening all over the place. Like, I'm watching businesses close daily. You lose your job, you will not get another job because they will not hire you because you are not a, quote, newcomer. And they're going to hire the person who came in from India, which is where they're mostly coming from. They're going to get that job. And you can go and live in a tent. So this is why world news is, it's an odd phenomenon, but it's like when it comes to larger events, Canadians just, we kind of don't care about it anymore, because when you're dealing with absolute hell on your doorstep.
Given the drastic change, Chris, in Britain, on every street now, practically, and the news landscape dominated by newcomers and their activities too, I didn't realize it does sound like you are a few steps ahead of us. It is very, very chilling indeed. The BBC in Britain have been key players in misleading the British public.
Like, Dan, this is what people are, and I'm telling you right now, and this is going to happen in Britain. It's very close to happening in Canada. at some point, regular people are going to be stretched to the point where when society does collapse, people snap. And Canada is very, very close to this right now. When you have nothing left to lose, nothing to look forward to, you snap. And the thing about Canada is we know the people that enforce this stuff. We know the decisions. We know the media outlets that supported this. Then this, Canada collapsed like before a certain person was elected in 2015, where we were the envy of the world. Now we're basically a third world country. This could also happen in the UK. If I was one of these people that had been pushing these things for the past decade and led to the complete collapse of society, I would be nervous, because when you have an entire populace with nothing left to lose, nothing to look forward to, and they know who is responsible. Just to be clear, I'm not advocating for this to happen. I know somebody will take my words out of context. I am not advocating for this. I'm looking at this as an observer, as somebody who has studied history. When countries collapse, think of the French Revolution just as an example. When countries collapse and people know who caused the collapse, you don't want to be that person. Again, I reference the French Revolution, the American Civil War. So if I were any of these formerly woke organizations, at this point, shut the fuck up. This is not going to end well for you. Shut the fuck up. They live in bubbles. Like most of these people, like when I look at the CBC, they're not facing the same insecurity that we are. Their wages are absolutely ridiculous, paid for by our tax dollars. We don't even have a license fee. It's direct taxation. We have no choice but to pay these. And I know it's the same thing with the BBC. These people, they've lived in a bubble, disgustingly overpaid compared to the average person, completely insulated from what's going on to regular people. I live in what was once a very nice working class neighborhood. Where I live, it was built by Italian families by hand in the 1930s. It's not extravagant. The houses are very small, but it was up until 5 years ago just a nice area where you'd raise your kids. Now it is absolute hell. Again, I'm not advocating for these things to happen, but I have read history. Anybody who knows about history, who has seen countries collapse, knows what happens to the people that caused it. So again, for your own good, shut the fuck up. But and sorry, Dan, I may have gotten you in trouble with the YouTube.
No.
And actually, I was feeling like crap today. I'm sure you could still feel in my voice. Well, I'm like just drained.
A great many people are feeling the same way to one extent or another. It's probably the same in most of the Western world, asking themselves the same question. Had he got the right idea in just getting out? But that's not really an option in Britain, and I would imagine that it isn't.
It's not an option anywhere. That's the other frustration, Dan. And I know it's the same thing in Britain and the same thing in Canada. The narrative is just for your own benefit, leave Canada. Most people do not have the financial means to leave. Most people can't afford food. You need some kind of means to leave, and also relations between Canada and the US are not good right now. And while I do like Trump, there are many things he does that I disagree with. The tariffs being at the top of that, I don't think it's going to work, and I think it's making a bad situation worse.
Yeah.
But the issues, he was not the cause of the divide in Canada. Our former prime minister was the cause of this. And this all started because of drugs flowing over the U.S. border, which has not stopped. We have a very long undefended border. You just go through a field in Saskatchewan, and you can easily get them across the border because we do not have a wall. So moving to the U.S. is not a issue. It takes thousands of dollars to relocate. I think for us Canadians can easily relocate to Australia or the United Kingdom because we're a British Commonwealth. But why would we go to Britain? And things aren't going much better in Australia, although it seems to be actually doing better than our other two countries. So we have no option. So yeah, this is where we are, folks. But when I look at something like the BBC, to bring it back to what we're talking about, and this is so point one, it's not a major issue in Canada because we're dealing with our own hell. But the other point is when you're talking about, this is FAFO time. Fuck around and find out. We've already sworn, so I guess I can swear now. Dan's already in trouble. Sorry, Dan. But this is FAFO, however you want to pronounce it. But I think it's a lot more serious than these people realize. And
just to add,
I'm going to go get some water because my throat hurts. But yeah, go ahead, David. I'm going to shut up now.
Just to add some stats, Dan, because I love my stats. There was 2.2 million visits to food banks in March 2025 alone in Canada. They're saying that food poverty or food insecurity in Canada is now affecting 1 in 4 people, and 1 in 5% of food bank visitors are actually full-time employed. So that's the stats I've just picked up.
They're doing all they can. They're doing all they can.
Well, I can tell you right now, those are David. Those are the official stats.
Those are the official ones.
They grossly underestimate how serious it is. The average income in Canada is $55,000 per year. In most major cities, you can't even afford the basics now unless you're making at least $100,000, and that will get you a 1-bedroom apartment in a crime-infested hellhole. I know our local food bank here, which I still donate to, not as much anymore, but I still donate to it. Although we have, quote, newcomers that are also taking advantage of it and using it as a source of free food. That's another major issue. But I know our local food bank right here, there have been days where they have nothing left and they have to turn people away.
It's insane.
It's and the 1/4, even the 1/3, I think doesn't. If you're like me and you're by yourself, like I'll knock on wood, but I'm lucky because it's just me and my dog. I can get by. So it's not, but when I look at family members, when I say look at my nephews or anybody that has kids, you have a family of 5. You're looking at you're looking at easily $1,000 a week grocery bill. That's $4,000 a month. You're not, and keep in mind, Canada has the highest rates of taxation in the world. If you make $55,000, you're losing off the top just to say income taxes, Canada pension plan, employment insurance, which is a joke. You're losing about 15 grand. Plus, we've got property taxes. We've got provincial and federal sales taxes. We've got gas taxes. We've got carbon taxes. You're not, and I see it around here. I see it like I've seen this a few times at Walmart. They have their checkouts. I'm watching people putting things back. And that's heartbreaking because you go to any register, the self checkout or the regular things, they actually have a cart now at both my local Walmarts next to it where people are putting food back that they can't afford. And they have, the people there that monitor the most things that they're overriding is like, okay, they're scanning it. Somebody may only have $75. I'm like, just to feed my family, it's $200. So you're actually watching, like, these are not drug addicts. These are not our protected classes.
Similar
these are regular people.
We've got similar accounts, Chris, in the live chat. People all in different countries all over the world talking about similar things happening to them, including one, Stephen, who works in a supermarket, who says he sees that happening every day.
Yeah, I think it was last week. I was at Walmart, and there was they were an older couple, or no, maybe about my age, but maybe 40-ish, so mid-age. They were there with their kids, and you when you live here, you kind of recognize, who are your problems in society and who aren't. You say you can't judge people by their cover. Yes, you can. You live amongst it enough. You can tell who are the normal people and who are the people destroying society. But you could tell just like a regular middle-aged family. They had their kids there, and the mother was actually in tears as she was taking stuff out of her cart and putting it in the return.
That's so sad.
And this is happening everywhere. So I apologize to everybody. I think I wasn't planning on saying much because I feel like crap in this live stream. I think I've taken up about half an hour now, and I apologize.
But Chris, I just very, very quickly, I just want to say that the one thing that you came back to a couple of times that sticks with me is that it seems like when you're at the point where people can't afford food, that would be like the last stop before either uprising or complete collapse.
The RCMP published a report, and it has been circulated. This has been within the past month that say on a scale of 1 to 10 for uprisings, Canada is now very high on that scale, and the RCMP now is preparing for mass uprising because they've screwed this up to the point that they cannot fix it. And Polyev, sorry, dude, you already blew the election, but you're not going to fix this. The problems here are so bad. Our country is so overpopulated that it's unfixable. And they've created tensions because we do have protected groups. Like there are groups that aren't experiencing these situations because they are protected. Like literally, people can't buy food and their taxes are being given to people who basically get advantages in terms of everything and are treated differently, taxed differently in our country, which would be illegal in most countries because of how they're born.
I've just seen something here from Lord Thoth, Chris. It says that's why people in Canada are being issued with body cams.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So yeah, the RCMP. So the risk of uprising right now in Canada, say on a scale of 1 to 10, we're at about an 8 right now. And they say it's very likely that there will be an uprising in Canada because our country is going to collapse. Canada will not survive 10 years. There's you don't have to be an economist to see how bad things are to know that everything is going to collapse. So the risk of uprising is very high. Keep in mind, we're also being censored from the internet. The new law that will be coming in, they can take away your access to the internet for wrongthink. Even what I'm saying right now under the new laws will probably be illegal and might get me axed from the internet. But you can only push people so far. And yes, they are body cams. They are currently planning conscription behind the scenes, forcing military training. The mainstream media is not reporting on this, but I can tell you for a fact this is happening. And if you're going to take somebody who's been screwed by this country and have them fight for this country, that's going to make your problem worse. So right now, yes, the risk of uprising and actual civil war in Canada is very high. And the RCMP, for those of you who don't know, it's the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. They're our federal police service. Also, the provincial police services are aware of this, and local and city police forces are also aware of this. And we have a government right now that is fanning the flames. And and even when you look at little things like you have Justin, who was the main cause of this, who destroyed this country. While you're starving, you're seeing pictures of this man on his yacht with his girlfriend Katy Perry. It's it's a slap in the face. Like you destroyed you destroyed our country, and now here you are shirtless on your yacht. Like it's the elitists who thought they knew better than us came up with these policies. Justin and the liberal elite, the academic elite in Canada, which is like, I used to be involved in academia. If you think it's bad, you have no idea. And that was like a long time ago. The media elites, They made the decisions for the rest of us and destroyed everyone's lives. So I right now, it's really sad to say, but I'm now actually lucky that I don't have kids, because I have friends who have kids. They're very close to starving to death. Like, how bad is it when those of us who, it's just me and my dog, was once married, haven't been in a long time. That's a whole other story. But when you have just like people in my situation are now saying, thank God I didn't have kids. Like that's where we are. And if you tried to have the regular, like say if you had kids 10 years ago thinking that things were going to be normal, you're screwed. You can't pay for your kids. It's like
I find this. I almost can't. I described the atmosphere in Britain a little while ago. The tension, David. You must recognise that too. But when I listen to Chris speaking there, I'm getting genuine shivers, thinking, okay, how many? Because Canada is clearly in a more advanced state of that which we are experiencing. I'm thinking, okay, how long have we got until that's here? 18 months, 2 years, 6 months. So, it's very, very sobering. But we're debilitated in Britain. We can't speak. We can't do anything about it. We can't even put up our own national flag in our garden without being called names and reported on by our neighbours. It's when you say it out loud,
it's a frightening look into the future, or a potential future that it looks like we are on the path to. And once you get down that path, as unfortunately Chris is experiencing at the moment and his fellow Canadians are experiencing, it's very, very hard to get away from it again, because everything for the state to be issuing body cams to its citizens,
I had no idea,
is a very, very worrying.
So they have to wear these body cams all day. Is that the deal?
What was that, Rabbi?
Citizens of Canada are going to have to wear a body cam all day.
Well, that's being proposed. They're also conscripting, and yes, they're giving civil servants military training right now. That was reported in the budget.
Civil servants, but just like your average citizen has to wear a body cam. That's weird.
It's kind of wishy-washy as to where that's going to go. I think what they want is they want to be able to spy on us all the time.
Right.
I don't think it would get that dystopian, but considering what's happened. But David, you were saying, how long does it take? This is the terrifying part. How long did it take Canada to get to this point? 4 years. Started in Trudeau between 2015, late 2015, and 2020 when things happened. Like the Trudeau government had been dismantling our country, but when the coup started, we were still normal. Things were affordable. 2021, the year after, that's when mass, like, out of control immigration came, and it swarmed our cities. Like, just swarmed our cities. It started in 2021 to 2025. That's how quickly this can happen. Our country was destroyed in 4 years.
I bet they can do it quicker than that now. I bet they can do it in 2 years.
Yep. Well, if you wanted to, just, not to be a conspiracy theorist, but if you wanted to put forward a plan to completely destroy a country, Canada, even though we're geographically very large, in terms of population, we're very small, and most of our country is within 2 hours of the U.S. So our populations are very concentrated. Like, most of the country is in southern Ontario, which, the Greater Toronto area, I think now is bigger than LA, or the LA regional area. So if you wanted to conduct an experiment to see how can we destroy a country, you're not going to start in the UK. You're definitely not going to start in the US. You're not going to start in Australia, just because of the mentality of Australians. Like, that's one population that's going to fight back. It's sort of ingrained in their nature. And Canada and Australia are pretty much twin countries. But if you want to you have Canada, which basically we're a weak country. We were a nuclear power. Justin's father undid that. We would have been a world power had Justin's father never been elected. There's a whole very dark history. Canada was destroyed in the 70s by the Trudeaus, Justin's not biological father, who may be the worst thing that ever happened to our country. But if you wanted to just put forth an experiment, how do we destroy a country? Okay, well, we'll pick a little one like Canada. I'm like, literally, all you have to do is even 2 provinces. You destroy Vancouver and you destroy, well, British Columbia, Vancouver, and you destroy Southern Ontario, mainly Toronto. You focus on those areas, which is where it started. What do you do first? Well, in 2021, swamped with immigrants. Most cities have risen, like within about a year. The population of most cities in Canada grew between 10 and 20%. No new infrastructure, no additional jobs. Our healthcare system is destroyed. My nephew got a concussion 3 weeks ago playing hockey. He is not doing well. We can't even get him in for a head scan because our medical system is overloaded. Like literally, we're in a situation right now where we have no healthcare. You have cancer, you're screwed. You're not going to get treatment. You're going to die. So you change, you bring it in, probably antagonize the US. I think that was part of this, which is what they did. You wanted to stabilize a country, basically drug use. Under Trudeau in Vancouver, all drugs are basically legal. Throughout the rest of Canada, it's no longer enforced. It's basically not criminalized. In my local police reporting service for the online form, there used to be an option for drug crimes. That's been removed. They won't even respond to drug crimes anymore. So you basically legalize drugs. You create what was called safe injection sites, where basically you're giving the population the drugs. Yes, that was a thing. So you overpopulate drugs, which leads to inflation, which leads to a supply-demand issue, where, because we don't have enough food for our population, because it exploded over the course of 4 years. We can't afford food. So the prices of most food, based on my own example from like 2019 to now, food prices have tripled. If you're shopping at like one of the higher end grocery stores, they've quadrupled. So Canada is an example of how to destabilize a country. And I think the UK was next when you elected that dictator you've got running your country right now. Because what's happening in the UK, we've seen in Canada, because this is from the Canadian playbook. The only difference between what's happening in the UK and what had happened in Canada really over the past 4 years is in the UK, it is covered in the news. It's covered more in, internet. Canada, we have Rebel News, and they do have an agenda, but they're the only mainstream news source that will report all CTV, CBC, Global News, Rogers. All our major mainstream networks to this day are reporting that everything is fine. Also, we do have under the Trudeau government a few years ago, they actually censored news, and it went quite completely under the radar. Basically, what they did was if any websites, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, Facebook was the big one. If you publish Canadian news content, you have to pay the original Canadian content creator.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So basically, what they did was, and I'm not on I left Facebook 3 years ago, but to this day, you still cannot get Canadian content. There's a block on it. You literally cannot get or repost Canadian news. This happened everywhere else. You still can on X, because it's run by the richest person on the planet, so X doesn't really need to worry about money. But in terms of everything else, it's like you literally can't get Canadian news.
So here's the question. In the future, like 50 years in the future, when they record this time, this seems to me clearly to be intentionally directed, right? This like weird silent invasion, right?
Yeah.
Will we ever know who and like why?
Not in our lifetimes, we won't.
Why are they doing this?
One theory is there are many wealthy people that, how shall I put this, are not good people. A lot of it is all about power, megalomaniacal intentions. It's about controlling everything, and people joke about the WEF. No, look in that direction. Look at. I think I think when you have a lot of money, more than you'll ever need in a lifetime, I think if a certain psychopathy develops, and literally you want more and more, and when you have a lot of money, you have power. And I think this started as a power grab, people who want to control society. And I think when you have everything, you dehumanize normal people. And I in many cases, it's just a game. I want to control everything. Take this, you plebs. But there are many bad people.
Because I kind of like imagine a Spectre like Blofeld table with Keir Starmer coming to now Operative Starmer will take control of Britain, dun, 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 and bring us into their iron.
Starmer, like so many of them, is in my view, is a clear, useful idiot. And in Britain, all the pieces are starting to come together now to point in one particular direction, which I'm not allowed to speak about. We aren't as far gone as in Canada, but if I even allude to what I believe is happening, then I would probably face some action myself. I'd get the knock at the door, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Is there Starmer being knocked out of power internally? I think that will collapse the government.
Well, but I do have a comment from the live chat by absolute coincidence here, who says, "Did you see someone posted the Pakistani flag flying above Westminster Abbey?" Now I haven't seen this. Is this today? Sacrilegious. Now I haven't seen this. It's just the latest in a long line of such events which go completely hand-waved. But on the other hand, as Nicholas Horton draws the comparison here, whereas in Warsaw, where he is, he's not safe to fly his national flag, the Union flag, or the St. George Cross on his own property.
I think that's another difference. Canada we've never had national pride. Like, Canadian identity has never really existed. They've tried to manufacture a Canadian identity over the years, but basically we're Americans. Like you go to, prior to the last few years, but say 2019 and earlier, you go to any major Canadian city, you go to Toronto, Vancouver, Ottawa, whatever. Aside from the fact that our signs are in kilometers and not miles, you wouldn't be able to tell that you're not in the US. Like, Toronto, before the last few years, is indistinguishable from any major American city. Where I live is indistinguishable. Like, most of your Hollywood movies are actually filmed in Vancouver or Toronto. Like, I'd say 70% of them at least. Like, you could not tell the difference. Previously, you could not tell the difference between our two countries. And we have no national pride, never have. Nobody cares about the Canadian flag. I think that's another reason why Canada may have been a simple target. Like, in the UK, you have deep-seated national pride going back centuries. The US is the most patriotic country in the history of the planet. Yes, Gary, I salute you. You do have a national. Canada did not have a national identity. All our culture, everything is an American. Our national identity was American. Most Canadians will know who the first president of the United States was. If I ask a Canadian, who was the first prime minister of Canada? The answer is John A. Macdonald. Actually, the first premier of Ontario at the same time was John Sandfield Macdonald. So we had two different John Macdonalds at the same time. That's your funny little trivia of the day. But no, most people have no idea how the Canadian system works. Like we have the Westminster system of government imported from the UK. But they don't know how our system works. They know how the US works. And that's why, and our media doesn't cover it. It's largely ignored. So that's why a country like Canada with no patriotic identity, where most Canadians don't even know how our government even works, can get away with doing these things. So that's the difference, or a difference that I've noticed, Dan, where you have all this national pride in the UK with the flags pushing back. That didn't happen in Canada. I don't even think they'd bother censoring the Canadian flag. It's the maple leaf. We just, I don't, and I think any Canadian would agree with me. We've never had national pride. We've had pride created for us by the media. Apparently, we all love Anne Murray and Celine Dion. No, we don't. Celine Dion is horrible. But yeah, that's our Canadian identity, or maple syrup, or Tim Hortons, what they've done to that franchise. Good God, just watch the videos. What's happened to that the past 5 years? It's been destroyed too. They used to make the best coffee on the planet. Now they make boiled oil.
Oh, we've got Tim Hortons are starting to spring up in Britain here and there. I've always wondered what the deal was, where it was from, and why.
It's Canada. It used to be we used to make the best coffee on the planet, but now it's owned out of Brazil. They cut costs. They don't hire Canadians. We now call it Sing Hortons. And what used to be the best coffee that you will ever have, literally, it tastes like black oil with rancid milk.
Just to address the live chat for a moment, yes, this is a change to our advertised programming to some extent. We haven't done this for a while, but we do every 3 or 4 months, where we just talk about the state of the world and the news and the things that we had prepared or in mind. Some things are just more important. If stuff like this is on our mind, it's quite natural that it's going to come out. And we know just from the live chat, people are just as worried about these matters as we are. I agree. I just want to make it clear to Duncan the Funky Evans, I can't put those messages up on screen, and you know why not, but I agree with absolutely everything you're saying.
And I'm going to shut up now because I don't want to monopolize the whole stream. And I think I've been talking for 40 minutes, and my sore throat is now really sore. So I'm going to go get some water, and I'm going to sit back for a little bit.
Thank you for sharing all that, Chris. I could tell how painful it is for you to talk about it. So
it's heartbreaking to listen to.
I mean, it really is. It is. And I just want to. Can I just say, Dan?
Yes.
That being a royalist and a fan of the Commonwealth, that Westminster Abbey over the last 50 years, at least, when for a member of the Commonwealth has their national day, will fly the flag of that respective country of the Commonwealth above the Abbey. So it is likely, I can't say for definite, but it is likely that that image is being used for nefarious reasons and is circulating.
Is there an image? Is there an image?
Yeah, there will be an image, because every year around March we fly the Pakistani flag above Westminster Abbey. Just we'll fly the Indian flag, we will fly the Canadian flag.
I'm looking at right now on X.
There will be an image of the Pakistani flag flying above Westminster Abbey, but there will be an image of the Indian flag and the Zimbabwean flag and the Canadian flag and the Scottish flag when it's St Andrew's Day, and so that's important.
That's a genuine feeling from within Britain that I feel is being taken advantage of now over the decades. Britain's welcoming nature, the spirit of sharing.
And, we are the head of the Commonwealth, and the King, formerly the Queen, was the head of the Commonwealth. And it's quite right that we celebrate the Commonwealth by respecting the other countries within the Commonwealth. And that's why it's normally in and around their national week or national day. that the flag of such will, because that's one thing I learned about when I was in London. And when I used to work in London, it was just, oh, why are they flying a different flag above Westminster Abbey? Oh, well, that's to do with the Commonwealth. And you will find, if you do your research into the Commonwealth, for people in the chat, that it's all part of being in the Commonwealth, and that we respect and thank other countries for being in the Commonwealth. And let's not forget, obviously, that when the empire finished and it turned into the Commonwealth, it can also be as a mark of respect also for the brave people from the Commonwealth that also gave their lives fighting for the empire and the allies in the world wars as well. So that why I think sometimes people can get an image, and sometimes it can be circulated by bad actors, so to speak, to get people going. And in that context, the images of that with respect to the Commonwealth flags will be taken out of, can be taken out of context, not will be taken out of context, I should say. So I just thought that it was just important just to explain why a certain country's flag will be flown above Westminster Abbey on certain days.
I'm looking across. I'm thinking about the rabbi. I'm thinking about how you are now living in a time of peace after 2 years of conflict.
Yeah,
and that relief that you felt, and a peace of mind. I think you've spoken about.
No, that's all gone now. I was feeling great when I started. Now I'm contemplating suicide. Really, I'm like, whoa, that seems like the apocalypse is fast approaching. Listen, I'm always a fan of the apocalypse whenever it comes. Right, that's what I say.
You've normally got some sort of sage words about such matters. I mean, in many respects, I think that Israel is probably the safest place on the earth.
Apparently so. Apparently so. Okay, I'm sorry, Dan. I'm not sure if you want to share this, but I got distracted by seeing this thing, and I think it might just put everything into context for everybody. Here, this is my considered feeling of how we should view this. I hope you can read the caption first.
Oh, hang on.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. No, not that. Not that.
No, one moment.
Editorial meeting in progress. As we're going over the death and gloom in Toronto and how you're all going to be like eating each other's flesh very soon, that just came across my internet feed and just made everything better. I'm sorry.
I'm kind of relieved. I have no idea what this is.
You don't know who Zippy is?
I have no idea what Zippy is.
Okay, so Zippy is voiced by the person who does the Cybermen.
Roy Skelton. Roy Skelton did the Daleks on
okay, yeah. So but he's a puppet in a show called Rainbow, which had
which hasn't been on for about 30 years, by the way. This is quite old, but it's still valid.
Okay. So then Zippy and Bungle as the two main characters, and Jeffrey, who was a human, but he could be a man in a Men in Black skin suit, right?
And George. Don't forget George, the pink hippo.
George, yes, and George was very bashful and shy. And then you had Rod, Jane, and Freddie, these three Swedish dancers who you knew were sleeping with each other, right? When I was like 5, you knew they were sleeping with each other. But and if they turned out, yes, of course, they'll sleep with each other. Anyway, you would never imagine, Zippy in bed with two women like this. The thought makes everything better in life to me. I don't know about you. I like this account, Miserable Zippy. I got to get more of this.
Miserable.
You've got to do your Zippy impersonation, Rabbi.
I can do
He does look. He does look.
Yes, Rabbi. Yes. That's how Zippy used to talk, Gary and Chris.
George used to be, hello Zippy, hello Bungle, hello Jeffrey.
That sounds like Terrence Dix.
Don't say Dix, you'll get more trouble.
Yeah, that's right, Dan. Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Well, again, the Doctor Who connection, I think, makes it all worthwhile. I don't know. Listen, look. I mean, I would say pray. Honestly, it's my only advice.
Yeah, and
pray.
You know what? That's not minimal. I mean, that's powerful. I mean, if that's no small thing, So.
I will send you a video, Rabbi, that they did that somebody did of Zippy and George and Bungle for Jeremy Clarkson's birthday on Top Gear. It's very choice.
Combination of factors, but okay. Throw Jeremy Clarkson in there, and that's what AI is made for. I want Jeremy Clarkson to appear on Rainbow. Maybe How, right? Remember How? That's the other one.
Yes.
How? He had. What's the name of the guy with the big afro who used to front it?
Mick
Robertson. Yeah, Mickey. You see these puppies here? They're gonna die unless you send us your pocket money, right? They'll do stuff like that. Yeah, and that wasn't even on culture.
That wasn't even on the BBC. Yeah. I mean, when we line all the problems that the BBC is having up against real world. I mean, they are real world
makes
issues.
Everything better. Watching BBC squirm and be in pain makes everything better. It's actually been quite a good week actually for genre. There was we had a bunch of news I liked. Alien Earth is coming back. Makes me happy.
Yes, I did see that news.
And I started watching Pluribus, the new Vince Gillian show. Vince Gillian, the guy who did Breaking Bad. Right, so he did this really weird sci-fi show. I can't describe without spoiling. Right, I enjoyed it. It's up to episode 3. So there you go.
Rabbi, when they announced this week that Alien Earth was getting a season 2, my first thought was they might as well have announced that they're building McDonald's on Mars. For all the difference, it's going to get my same patronage.
I am stoked for it. Listen, what we have learned. I've been on a real Alien binge right now.
I'm not.
I rewatched was it Alien Alien 3, the whatever it is, the ultimate cut, which is a lot better. The only thing I didn't like about it is if you remember Alien 3, it starts off Ripley's on the Sulaco in the opening, and then there's a face hugger. And it gets shot out onto the prison planet, right? So they cut out the face hugger, they creeping around and doing stuff, which really annoyed me. Well, it's only the first 30 seconds, so I had to watch the opening from the original assembly cut, and then I watched what's it called again? So whatever it is, this big latest cut. I'm really getting into Alien. The Alien one in general.
I'm interested in seeing that new cut of Alien 3, but chopping bits out of this and that and the other myself, I could never be bothered with any of that kind of thing. It's just too much like hard work. But I don't.
I will not be watching Alien Earth
all week. So
if Dan, if you decide to cover Alien
I
work,
was going to pick this up at some point in the near future. Yeah, I've told myself, Chris, that when it does return, which will probably be 2 or 3 years' time, that I may watch the first one, and unless there's a drastic improvement, I'll be out right away.
I will not be. Dan, if you decide to review Alien Earth Season 2, I have to report that I will not be partaking. So my request is to do it in the second half of the stream. So I can depart to go cream some crackers. Some of you
that's going to be like 2028 at the earliest.
Yeah, listen, I fully understand that Alien Earth is not. It is the actual genuine.
It's horrible.
Sure. No, I thought it was great. I thought it was pure Alien. I loved it. Right, genuinely did. I thought it was weird and creepy. I liked the slow burn. I like slow burn on interesting things, right? That's why look, Westworld, right? Westworld drove everybody crazy in season 2 by stopping the action and having a entire episode dedicated to a background robot, like an engine.
Well, let's give the punters like 20 minutes at least of some sort of geeky talk. So tell us, Rabbi, about this show by the makers of Breaking Bad.
Okay.
I haven't got anything. I haven't got any clips. I haven't got any pictures. But what's the title and what's the general premise? What's the hook? If you were doing the elevator pitch for this show,
if I tell you
what would
hook,
it be?
It's going to spoil the first episode.
It's okay.
But I think it's okay, right? But I just want to let everybody know outright. It's called Pluribus with instead of an I, it's a 1, right? And it's got a very, very interesting central premise which I want to explore a lot. Unfortunately, the main character doesn't at all, which I'm finding very frustrating. So starts off. It's they have this radio telescopes. They're picking up this transmission from 60 million light years away, or something like that. Right, they're trying to decipher it, and then over a number of years, they realize it's a peptide sequence or something like that. And so they built this huge facility to test it on live animals, on mice, and it's got all this super security. Everyone's got double spacesuits on when they're handling the rats. But of course, one of them gets out, right, and infects the P person, who then is clearly taken over and brainwashed. Right, and then as soon as she kisses somebody, they become taken over part of the group mind, and is brainwashed, and then more and more people until on the main story is you have this woman who's a kind of like fantasy writer doing a book tour, and she's stopping somewhere on the way home, and everybody is in a bar and everybody suddenly stops and starts shaking violently, and they can't move. And she's like, "What's going on?" And some of them collapse, and then she manages to get her girlfriend. That's the only woke thing is she's gay in it. To drag her into a car and get her to hospital, and he can't really work out what's going on. And then suddenly everybody switches on again and starts working over, right? And they're all clearly of the same group mind, right? And then they turn around and say, "Don't worry, Carol, we just want to help." Right, but they all sit together in unison, like Village of the Damned, right? So then she runs back to her house and gets in. She can't find a key, and these 2 creepy neighbor kids come out and say, the key's under the pot, Carol." They say in unison. They remember that.
I see. So okay. Is this an event series?
No. I'm getting to the premise, right? So then she gets inside the house. All the TV channels aren't working. She's trying to work on it. Suddenly, one TV channel comes on. It's some kind of, the presidential address, and it's some kind of governmental person. And he's like, "Good evening, Carol. You must be very scared. We want to say you're in no danger whatsoever." It says on the crowd, "No danger whatsoever." Things like that. So, what's going on? Is this an alien invasion? No, Carol. These are not aliens. These not. And so they explain the premise is. There's been the beneficiaries of an alien technology that creates everybody into one group mind. Everybody knows everything that everybody else knows, right? So he said this individual person is Bob Sackett. He is one of the only people living from the military, and he was wearing a suit from the government, and he's wearing a suit. That's why we're here, come and talk to you, right? And so turns out there's a very rare condition that you're not like one of us. And he says there's only 11 people. And she's like, "What, in Albuquerque?" He says, "No, in the world. There's just 11 people in the world who are not part of the hive mind." Right. And so a lot of it isn't she hates it, right? The main character, she can't stand it, but it's a investigation, like a meditation on what that kind of world will be like, because they're all very happy. Right, in this hive mind, they're all at peace, and
it doesn't sound like the kind of premise that can run and run, though. I mean, it's an interesting idea for a Twilight Zone or a Black Mirror.
Yeah, but the more they examine the premise, the better it gets. I'm only going to give you the splatterings of it, but it's like this. It's the creation of a new life form, essentially this Gestalt entity, which is Earth, right, and how society starts to reorder. I mean, they're only on episode 3. And they're strangely naive, right? This group mind, and they know everything, and they just want to be good. And how they comes out, they don't want to kill or hurt anything, so they're all going to be vegan, right? And but they're all,
I'm so glad you told me about this. I'm going to avoid it like the frigging plague.
I found it really interesting, so because the basic premise is that they've got scientists working on what's making them different, and they'll be able to include them in about 2-3 months. Anything from a few weeks or a few months. And she's like, "Well, I don't want to." He's like, "Well, listen, you just don't understand. It's fantastic, right? You know, if you saw somebody drowning, you wouldn't ask for their permission. You would jump in and save them, right? So from their point of view, they're being super altruistic."
Yeah.
But sorry,
not being. I'm being honest here. All of this sounds like it's like a massive metaphor for Trump derangement syndrome.
Could be, yeah. You're not wrong. Actually,
it really does.
Right. Like, but the whole hive mind thing. There's very benign advantages of it. Like I don't know. For me, the Kabbalistic idea of what heaven is somewhat like that. Like we're all one gestalt entity called God, essentially. I can't see the appeal of that, right? It's the loss of self, and how does society reshape, right? And it's like seems to be for the better. Like there's no crime, everybody's happy.
I might give it a go.
It's really interesting.
One thing that I actually might get one of those Black Friday Apple TV subscriptions because yes, it's on Apple TV. But for those of you who watch Better Call Saul, the main actress, I think the author or whatever, is played by Rhea Seehorn. She was the female lawyer in Better Call Saul.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, and she looks damn good for being 52.
Yeah, she does. But she's a very good actor. Although I think much more universly likable will be the other thing I saw this week, which was Predator Badlands, which I had so much fun.
Well, we'll have to skip over that because I'm going to go and see that in a couple of days' time.
Oh, you're gonna have a lot of fun.
But David, I want to come to you because I know you've watched something specifically this week, which is the one thing I have got pictures of. So why don't you tell us? We've gone from Apple TV. That was on Apple, was it, Rabbi?
Yeah.
Pluribus on Apple.
Something like that.
And it's got a one. It's got a one.
It's one instead of an I. You're right.
Whereas over on Netflix, you've been watching this, David. Where are we? This.
Oh, this is absolutely.
David, why are you watching?
I wish I'd been watching that.
There's a reason why. There's a reason why I tell people I can't add things to the show because I've got it all prepared and I'm easily thrown. Okay, so you've been watching this.
Yes, it drops on Thursday this week, the second series, but the first series is very much on there. It's a brilliant comedy. The first of which I found by complete accident this time last year. It's a television series created by Michael Schur, and apologies if I've pronounced that wrong. But the whole premise is it's Ted Danson is a retired college professor of engineering. He's an expert in bridge building and bridge design. So very, very, very dry sort of topic. His wife sadly dies from dementia. And you see the first episode of him waking up by himself, leading quite a solitary life. It's very sobering to start off with. And he's got a daughter, his only daughter, who lives 2 hours away. And the only way that he communicates with her is that he sends newspaper clippings to her and her family of what he thinks she might be interested in. So she's obviously a bit worried about the way that his life is going. And she takes a trip up to see him and tries to sort of say, just try and join a club. Just try and do something to get yourself out and about. So he sees an advert in the paper asking for men or people over the age of 75 to be a private investigator Has got to be good with technology and all this, that, and the other. So he goes to the interview, and he's the only one who knows how to use a mobile phone and anything. And it turns out that this private investigator lady has got a case whereby someone's mother has had a high value family heirloom stolen from a residential care home. So he agrees to go undercover into the care home. It's a comedy. Ted Danson, it's an ensemble piece. It paints older people in a really, really positive light. It deals with the fact that we should, not discard our elderly relatives aside, gives them a whole purpose. And it really is a beautiful, funny, sincere, it's not woke whatsoever at all. There's even a bit of a love tryst in there. And within the first 24 hours of him going undercover in the care home, he's making cocktails. He gets absolutely stoned out of his skull as they're smoking marijuana together.
So it's a comedy drama with an overarching story. Is that what I'm picking up on?
Absolutely. And he basically, you see this web of deceit building up with his daughter posing as his niece, his boss. She becomes his daughter, and he's desperately trying to build a rapport with people to try and identify who is the culprit. And at the end of the first season, he identifies.
Don't tell us. Well, don't tell us.
At the end of the first season, he identifies the culprit, and that's all I will say, because you expect that. Within the second season, the trailer on Netflix at the moment is that it becomes a large ensemble piece whereby he is now investigating a massive theft. And the people whose friends he's made in that all go to the office with him for the next case. And one of them goes, well, I want us to have code names. So the boss reluctantly agrees to have code names. And so it's a wonderful comedy. Danson is absolutely amazing in it. He's very...
It's roles well.
He was great.
He was great. It's quite Cheers-like with his buddies.
Right.
But
he was really good in The Good Place. I enjoyed that show, but I did feel that for the most part it felt a little flat when he wasn't on screen, which is why it never held my interest past more than a couple of seasons. I don't know what it was, because that girl who leads that, I can't remember her name now. The one who was Veronica Mars. I've always fancied the pants off her, but even she wasn't enough to keep me riveted to The Good Place. But this does sound really entertaining. Really, it sounds a little bit Thursday Night Murder Club as well.
It's like very much so.
The best expression up to
it's really good, feel good. It's the first series, I have to say, that I have got into immediately. And when the first one finished, I had it on initially while doing the ironing. I mean, it's just general sort of rubbish. But halfway through the episode, I remember I was just stood there with the iron resting, just engrossed in what was going on, tears of laughter coming down my face. And at the end of the episode, I just went, I've got to see the next episode. And I think I watched 5 on the bounce, or about 40 minutes. There is a lot of comedy. There is a lot of sadness. It's very heartfelt. You see him deal with some stuff from the past. It's an ensemble is very, very strong, and there is a few elements whereby the elder generation really stick it to and guilt trip, quite rightly, the sort of younger generation as well, and put them straight. So it's very not woke. And each episode is has got the title based around a spy movie or story. I think the first, for example, Rabbi, because I know you love these sorts of things. The first episode is entitled Tinker Tailor Older Spy.
Oh yeah, I do like those things. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. And he's got a sort of thing whereby he will say in the morning, "Good morning, Julia." Julia's his boss. It's a wet and windy day. It's about 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind's coming in from an east-northeast, and oh yes, and this is what I wanted to tell you. And he's got a little way of identifying to her when he's on being a spy and when he's not, with his costume change. And it's just so on it, and it's so nice to watch. It is some people may say it's quite twee, but there is a lot of comedy in there. And like with a sequel, they're really starting to build on his friendships they've got. And the lady who's the flirty old lady who men fight over apparently in the care home. She there's a scene in the trailer where it's this very rich, wealthy, elderly man says, I will help you, but I will give you $1 million to sleep with your wife. And then it sort of cuts back to them on a sofa, and she goes, well, it might happen like that, sort of thing. And it's very, very, I can't I've never been excited about a series coming back as this, having seen the trailer for the second time. And it just deals with death. It deals with people becoming ill. It deals with the fact that just because the older generation are older, it doesn't mean they still can't get drunk and smoke weed, and have a party. It's just love. It's just really, really lovely. And behind it, there's this mystery going on.
It sounds like great. This sounds like great entertainment to watch over the Christmas and New Year period as well.
Yeah.
People have got an extended bit of time off to have that series on simmer that they can just go back to with a simple premise, a star that most people, even if they don't recognise him, they'll know that they know him from somewhere. It's a great title, A Man on the Inside. Although I did fear that could have been Russell T Davies' latest project with a title like that. So very relieved.
Thanks for that.
Very relieved.
This is actually really quickly. This is actually, David, been on my list to watch for about 2 years now. A very, very good friend of mine told me that he loved it, so it's been on my list. Ted Danson, to me, I think is one of the most reliable actors. In anything. It's like even the commercials I see him in, like for cable companies or whatever,
Becker,
the commercials he does are great. It's like if you see him connected to something, it's probably going to be pretty good.
And I can I will endorse this. I watched this over the summer, and yes, it is actually, I'd say, if not the best, one of the best Netflix shows I've watched probably in at least the last year.
Wow, very good.
Yeah, totally.
I'm still mainlining. I'm still mainlining episodes of Dallas, so I'm not really a good person to speak to. Currently, I'm midway through the Dream season right now. It's not the same without Bobby.
Bobby's still dead.
I'm thinking about giving up, but I may give it another 10 or 15 episodes and see if. Yeah, so we shall see. We shall see. But how about you, Gary? Is there anything you'd like to quickly recommend to us?
Really quickly, the last thing I watched, and I'm trying to think if this was on Netflix. I binged it's an 8-episode. It was a mystery. It was called The Residence. And at first I thought, well, I've heard, is this woke? Is this not? Whatever. It's a murder mystery. It's like a Columbo murder mystery that takes place in the White House, not, one of the staff people, like the chief of staff or whatever, like the glorified butler, kind of dies during this international party. And they call in this genius detective in to this woman who can have a conversation and spot everything. There's a good list of suspects. It's really pretty funny because everybody's trying to keep it on the down low while she's trying to investigate everything. And it's 8 episodes. It's all one story. So I binged it like in a couple of nights. And I think it only got 1 season, as Netflix tends to do, but it doesn't end on a cliffhanger. It's like a complete story. They could have brought it back, but they don't need to. And if you like whodunits that are kind of funny with a solid mystery that doesn't cheat, it's all there. All the clues are there during the reveal episode. You go, oh, I should have spotted that.
Gary, have you ever seen a show? And I keep seeing billboards for it certainly every year, and they're always really brightly coloured. And David's recommendation there has made me think of it because I've often wondered if I'd like it or not. It's called something like, it's something about the murders in the building.
Only Murders in the Building. I adore that show.
My daughter loves that.
Adore that show. The reason here's the Dan. It just finished its 5th season. I haven't watched the 5th season yet.
I'm not the biggest fan of Steve Martin, you see, so I thought, but it just looks fun. It looks the way it's advertised, and the very scant clips I've seen, and they've got a pretty girl in it, which always, I think she's a brunette, which always goes down well with me. So it's not him.
It's not Steve Martin doing his wild and crazy guy type of thing. He's in a situation very similar to what David described Ted Dances in. He's an actor who used to be on a hit show in the 80s, but largely forgotten now. And they're all isolated in this building, and he establishes a friendship with Martin Short, who is brilliant in this series, and Selena Gomez. And somebody in the building dies, and they take it upon themselves to try to figure it out. Every season is a new mystery, and they've all been really solidly written in terms of the actual mystery. So if you're a mystery fan, I cannot recommend that show highly enough.
See, I'm not a mystery guy, but I do like it when there's a tight cast who've got a lot of chemistry between them. That's what keeps me watching stuff like that. Yeah. So every year, I don't know how long it's been running for, but I'm just aware, David, that I'll notice a post. Oh, it's that show again. Yeah. Oh, that show's back, and that kind of thing. I think, oh, maybe I'll watch that one day. Yeah. And throughout the whole, because I think is it a Disney show? It's on Disney Plus or something like that. So for a time, I was very dark on anything associated with Disney. I thought, oh, I'd watch that if it wasn't on Disney. And now I've kind of got past that a little. Now,
it's probably the best comedy. It's probably the best comedy mystery from the last few years.
Whoa! Okay, I'm glad I mentioned it. Then
my daughter loves it. She loves it. Rosie, she absolutely adores it.
I'm not entirely sure, David, because I've lost track of these things a long time ago. So I don't know who Selena Gomez is. No idea whether she's a former pop star, like a Miley Cyrus type or whatever. Yes. But I do get the impression they've stuck the 2 famous old guys together with a hot young woman who was probably famous for doing something else.
No, she's good in it.
I'm getting.
She's good in it.
Yeah, she's really good in it. Yeah, she is. And the Residents, is that Residents CE plural, or is it just Residents TS, Gary, on Netflix, that you were reviewing?
Oh, CE, because the Residents is what they call the White House.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Place
Selena Gomez, by the way, Dan, was on this really popular Disney Channel show about 10 years ago called Waverly Place.
Oh, my daughter used to watch that when she was younger. Oh God. Oh.
But then she started releasing a lot of albums and stuff.
Very good. I'm very partial to the girl out of High School Musical, though. The one who's in Spring Breakers.
Miley Cyrus. Is that?
No. Vanessa something or other.
Vanessa Gomez?
Went really bizarre. I don't know.
I can't remember. But yes, good stuff. Yes, so I've got nothing that I can really throw into the mix. Sadly, I've finished a lot of shows lately, so I'm starting off some new things. Started watching Some Others Do Have Them from the beginning last month, so I'm on to series 2 of that this month, and I'm carrying on with Dallas. I'm continuing with Lie to Me as well, starring Tim Roth. From around 15 years ago.
Good for about 3 episodes. I think it's kind
really liked it. Well, I loved it, but I've only ever seen the first season and a half because halfway through it, I think that it went Virgin stopped carrying Sky or so I never saw the other half. But I liked it back in the day. So I watched season 1 earlier this year. So I'm gonna.
Tim Roth is always good.
He's great. Jennifer Beals plays his ex-wife, and she's still hot. Well, she was certainly still hot 15 years ago when this was made.
That's so funny, Dan. You mentioned some others you haven't. Just because a couple of weeks ago, I just actually downloaded that whole series to watch. So
yeah, there's not many of them, like 25 episodes, something like that. But it's so much fun. And the other day, I watched an episode which, when I was a kid, it was kind of like the episode of Fools and Horses where Delph falls through the bar. It was that notorious. They're like dangling over a cliffside in a car. And I remember watching that when I was a kid for the very first time. And yes, it's all those things. So yeah. He
did all those stunts, didn't he, Michael Crawford? The one of the roller skates with the bus, and he did all his own stunts.
I vaguely remember the show ending, but after it finished in its first run, it was constantly repeated by the BBC. So from the late 70s through to the early 90s, even maybe. And the one thing that, as a child, that I was sort of continually sold on by people was that Michael Crawford did all of these stunts. And the things, I mean, Gary's yet to watch it, so I won't spoil it for him.
No, go ahead. It's fine.
But some of the things that they dangle him from, fire him out of, that they drop on him. It's a miracle the man can still walk. I mean, he's still alive, still well into his 80s. I think he's an American national now. And he's a friend of Donald Trump's as well, isn't he, Michael Crawford? So he's he didn't do him any lasting damage. But it really is some of these things, as the series gets a little more, it's always a 3-wall set sitcom. It's the traditional British sitcom. But the filmed inserts where they take him out and about doing these various things with him, you do wonder how the insurance on that show.
It was the 70s. They didn't bother with insurance. Yeah, why worry?
And they brought that. The first time I heard of that character, Dan, which is why I wanted to watch the whole series, is because they brought back that character for that sports relief thing.
That's right.
About 10 years ago.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I got to check that out.
Weirdly, I've never seen that. I've got it on a DVD.
It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
So I've seen all of the series, but I've never watched that. My life, with the year that was on, my life was in. Well, yeah, my life was. Yeah, well, not in. It was out.
You can watch just that clip on YouTube.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll watch it at the end when I've watched all of these, and the several Christmas specials as well. Rabbi, where he's sort of dropped through the roof of a church dressed as the Archangel Gabriel and all sorts of stuff.
That's really good.
So, this would brighten my Christmas morning now and rewatching that.
I love a Christmas special. Okay, I have some crackers here. Do you never guess what? They have been creamed.
They're well creamed. I think all our crackers could well be creamed. Rabbi, you're not alone this time, my friend. Crackers all round. Thanks for sharing, everyone. I think we did need a detox. I did allocate when I said what we're going to be doing for the rest of the year. Will there be a week where we do this and a week where we do that? And there will be a week where everything goes completely up the pictures and we just all go, there. And that was very much this one. So thank you for going with us, and thank you for being on. It's been rich and real. You're all beautiful people. Enjoy the rest of your weekends. I think we shall part with. We won't have a song. We'll just say, chin up. Don't forget to stroke it, and all those things.
Okay. The wedding singer.
Yes. Thank you all for your company. Well, you know who everybody is by now. Besides, all our names are attached in red and white, aren't they? Everybody in the live chat, thank you. Yeah, I think people have just been sort of listening and taking pity, but we do have a lot of this sort of thing. Avon lives. And thank you to Nicholas Horton. That's Vanessa Hudgens is the woman that I fancy, who used to be in High School Musical. Thank you very much, Nicholas. I don't think the
don't let Verada know that.
A better ending there. Oh no, Verada is she's reserved for my number one spot.
Okay. You're a good aim.
I keep trying to push our mutual friend, who's a friend of hers. I keep trying to push them for, is she on social media?
Oh boy.
Right. Thank you everybody for everything. Check out the rest of it. You know where. There's more to come. You know where that's coming as well. And follow all of these guys in various different places where you can. All right. Thank you everybody. Let's have a blast of this, and we'll see you next time.